Knives, guns were held at them. Even the mom, the kids had to learn to hold a gun to defend themselves.
Oh.
So months after coming here, their hands are still shaking from just even holding a gun.
Hey Jill, thanks so much for coming into our very simple studio today. Tell us for the next maybe 4 or 5 minutes about your life, about your upbringing.
I come from a family of 3 girls. I'm the eldest.
Okay.
I basically grew up in KL and also moved about quite a bit because of my dad's job. In
Okay.
fact, he was a doctor as well.
All right.
So he had to further his studies and he was posted by the government to work in different places. So as his family, we went along. Growing up, I've been exposed to different doctors in my family, like my dad himself, my grandfather, and different relatives, uncles and aunties.
Okay.
And so growing up, I've always had an interest in becoming a doctor. But the funny thing is, my dad actually was totally against me being a doctor, simply because he knew that it was a really tough line to be in, from the studying to the working.
Sure.
So because of that, being his precious daughter, he didn't want me to go through hardship. His line of being a doctor, being a surgeon and a neurosurgeon means that he had to always be on call, more than a lot of other doctors. I almost ended up doing something else. I was trying to find like different options, from engineering to, I don't know, even business and etc. But I felt like Cinderella, like just never really found the right fit, that right shoe that fit me. It was always medicine, I knew, and I said, God, if you want me to do it, you gotta make a way. So all the way, like as I was growing up, primary school, secondary school, even college, he was like adamantly against me doing medicine.
Really?
Until the 11th hour when I got my A-level results and I was like applying to different universities to do different courses. Suddenly, my dad's heart changed like 180 degrees overnight. And he said, you know what, if you really want to do medicine, then you go for it, but make sure you give it your all, and I will give you my all support. He has been my biggest fan and supporter lah, even since then until now, 20 years down the road. So he's been cheering me on, supporting me financially those days as a student, and even up to now, he's still subconsciously, unknowingly giving me guidance, in that sense. So it's really a miracle. God just really turned my dad's heart 180 degrees around, from my biggest opposer to my biggest supporter, and that really gave me such a peace to know that I'm meant to do this.
You were actually a doctor at one of our major government hospitals.
Yep.
I believe it's General Hospital in Kuala Lumpur. And I heard from your friends that you were doing quite well there. So tell us about the General Hospital experience.
So after I graduated from medical school, International Medical School, IMU, I was posted to HKL, or Hospital Kuala Lumpur, to work, and it's our country's biggest, probably oldest hospital. They call it the Premier Hospital of Malaysia. So it's really a privilege to be able to work there. So I did my housemanship there for 1 year. And then after that, I was actually supposed to be sent to Malacca Hospital to work as a medical officer. But then I appealed, and my appeal was approved, and I stayed on to work in Hospital Kuala Lumpur, HKL. So I continued working in HKL for another 3 to 4 years as a medical officer.
So altogether 4 years?
Altogether about 4.5 years. Yeah, coming to 5. So, and I was in the internal medicine department, or people call it medical department, and that's the busiest and craziest department in the whole hospital. We actually occupy most of the wards. A lot of patients that come in to our wards as well. So that's like, HKL is already a med house, and medical department is even more med house.
Because it's a general hospital, it's a government hospital. So, many of the ones who can't afford, especially, will be there. I've been there before a couple of times as I was growing up, and hundreds and hundreds of patients a day.
It was definitely a mad house, but I think it was really good. I enjoyed working with my team. I had a great team of peers, colleagues, bosses, subordinates. So the people really made the journey so much more, endurable and enjoyable. I mean, even if we went through tough times, we went through tough times together.
Yes.
No sleep together.
Sure.
Ikat perut, hungry, ikat perut together. Feet aching together, the kind of thing.
Like a family.
Like a family, yeah. And then also I enjoyed just meeting people from all walks of life. And we had like really, people from the highest walk of life, government officials and all, to, just our commoners, to even the poorest people who would come in just so that they can have a roof over their head and a meal. So they check themselves into hospital just to get that day over with, and then next day they're out on the street again, that kind of thing. And we had people who were, prisoners, criminals. We had refugees. In fact, that was my first encounter with refugees, working in a hospital. And somehow I had a drawing or a soft spot towards this group of people. So that was my first, it's sort of like opened up that passion within me, that purpose that maybe I could do something more for this group of people.
So you were actually really enjoying your time at HKL.
Yes, I was.
It's not like, you left that job because you hated it. And then came the day.
Came the
day when you were considering taking up an offer that you were given to help manage and run a social enterprise in the form of a clinic.
So what happened was, after I gave birth to my eldest boy, Judah, about close to 6.5 years ago, I actually I went on maternity leave, and that's normal, and I actually took extended maternity leave to about a year, and in the government service, we're actually entitled to take up to 5 years of what we call cuti menjaga anak.
Oh, wow.
But it's unpaid leave, but at least our position is secure. So the initial plan was to take leave to look after my son when he was very young, and I had no idea what I was going to do after that 1 year, like whether I was going to come back to work or to resign altogether or do something else. I wasn't sure when I started out. I was coming to the end of that year, then came up this offer of actually being a part of this team in Klinik Kecheerian, that time as a part-time doctor or locum. At that point, I had already started coming in, and then a few months down the road, there was this offer to actually head it up all together. Yeah.
So you were already helping.
I was already helping for a few months, and I was still on leave per se. I still belong to the government service in that sense. So then came that, and I had to really take time out to think about it and to pray, discuss even with my husband.
Yeah, sure.
You know, what should I do? And I really felt strongly to actually resign and to take this up. I know that there's always a need for doctors, but what was impressed upon me is that the relative need. So remaining in the government service, there's a sea of doctors. I know I can still make a difference, but there will still be other doctors to take this up. But for this need of Klinik Kecheerian at that point in time, if I were not to take it up, then then there may not be many others who could feel that need at that point in time. So that was one of my considerations. But I think bigger than that was that sense of passion and purpose. I'm like, wow, this really fits the bill. I can deal with refugees, which I began to have a soft spot and an open heart towards.
Because this clinic was going to be focusing
on refugees,
on helping the refugees.
Yes, and I can still be a doctor, which I've always wanted to be. And I can still make time for my family. So these are the three things that, it's sort of like a tree confirmation. Like I think someone said before, if one thing happens, it's a direction, and if another thing happens, a second thing happens, is a confirmation. If a third thing happens, it's an establishment. So I took these three signs as like, okay, I think this is what I'm meant to do at this point in time. So I took that step, but it was difficult because then I had to tell my dad I'm going to resign from government service, and his hopes for me was, of course, to climb the ladder in government service. I was having a lot of favor, like you mentioned. In fact, I was going to pursue my further studies and all, and I really thank God that I gained favor from different bosses along the way. And so I was doing well, honestly. If I stayed on, I could be climbing the ladder now. So I had to bring it up to my dad, and again I said, God, if it's you, then you have to touch his heart like what you did with medical school. And he did.
Wow.
So thank God. So that was another big sign, like, okay, I meant to do this. My dad has given his blessing. I mean, although technically I'm already an adult, I don't need his permission, but I wanted his blessing.
It's nice to have it, right?
Yeah, I wanted to have his blessing because he was the one who got me started on this journey. So that was another big sign. And then as I went to submit my resignation letter, my boss actually tried to persuade me to stay back. He said, are you sure you want to do this? You know, it's quite insecure in a sense, you know, and the future doesn't seem very rosy for GPs and things like that. He said, like, if you want, just take 5 years off, you know, concentrate on your family, and then come back in 5 years' time and I will reserve your spot for you. That was the amount of favor. I never hear of my boss giving 5 years off to someone to you know, raise their family in a sense. So yeah, of course it was tempting, but again, I went to a toilet cubicle and I just asked God, like, oh, what should I be doing? It's so tempting, it's so favorable to stay, but yet there's this calling. So I decided, that afternoon, boss, I'm so sorry. Thank you very much for your offer, but I really got to go. So I handed my resignation letter in, and of course there was a price to pay because I handed it in as a 24-hour notice, so I had to pay back 1 month of salary. But I was willing to pay the price, and got provided back for me lah, whatever I had to pay back. It's just that's just by law.
But talking about pay also, the new establishment wasn't offering you even close to what you were getting
at that point in time.
So that was tough. That was one of the considerations.
Definitely, but we learned to make do with you know, what we had, and somehow there was always enough for every moment. And as the establishment grew, then also so did my pay grow as well.
So basically, you know, I guess you're saying your passion was real, real enough to even overshadow your pay. Because I think when people are still harping about pay, and of course pay is very real, very practical, you need to pay your bills, but I find that people who are really genuinely passionate about something, and that passion is real, that the pay, while that also is real, submits to the passion and not the other way around. Because I think if it's the other way around, then you may have to even question your passion and purpose, of course. So the pay was lower, but your passion was louder. And you really believed in this. So I guess in our next few questions, we're going to touch on two things. One is the challenges, and also, of course, we must not end this program without saying or talking about the celebration. Let's start with challenges first, okay? Bad news first and then good news, all right? And let us know how life is in Klinik Kecheerian.
Definitely not a bed of roses, not all easy and smooth to head up and run this clinic. Past 5 years.
So it's been 5 years now?
5 years now. One of the challenges that we've had in this number of years is the team. Definitely can't be doing this myself. I know we need a team, and we work better as a team. You know, finding a co-doctor that will also be willing to leave what they're doing now and also believe in the vision and really give his or her best to it. Not seeing it as just another job, or another career, but really going all out lah. That itself has been a real challenge. When I came in, I had a colleague for a while, and then after that, she had to go off on maternity leave and all, and take some time off. And then later on, I think for a while, at least a year or two, we had to have locum doctors. Yeah, so there's always the uncertainty of who's going to be my co-doctor. Will the quality be, similar, and just the reliability and all that. Then I thank God we had a doctor that came in for I think over a year, and she was a great support. Really someone that I could call, my co-doctor or colleague, someone who believed in the vision and also gave her best to what we're doing. So it was a real blessing to have her in. Although sadly she couldn't stay on because she's pursuing her studies and she needed to go elsewhere to further her studies.
So that's tough, isn't it?
That's tough.
To always having
every
to go
1-2
through
years.
cycles, and then changing of guards as it were. I guess that would probably be with any other business. You would wish that you could be with the same team forever, because you've gotten to know each other. You don't have to go through retraining or all that basic stuff, and then people just concentrate on running. But then you find that that's life. And so that's really a tough part, isn't it? This whole thing about team getting the right people in. At this time, you have another one that's in?
Yes, so after my previous colleague who had to leave us to pursue her further studies and training, now I have a new colleague and a co-doctor, and really, really a great support. Again, someone who believes the vision, buys to the vision, will give her best, to sow into it.
That's satisfying.
And work it out. Yeah, that is.
Very good.
So that's just on the doctor's side. The clinic assistants, another whole round. We've had
nurses
different
and assistants.
Clinic assistants, nurses come and go. But again, the one that is with us right now, she has been around for 4 years actually.
Wow.
She's such a steady and reliable support,
Right.
an anchor for us. So really, really thank God for her as well. We're excited to have actually more people on board. We're going to have more people on board in the future for counselling,
Right. Because you're expanding, right?
Yeah.
Even as we're talking now, you're in the midst of a renovation.
Yes.
Let's just continue with some of the other challenges, because I think I've heard of funny patients that have come in.
Yeah, so we get all kinds of patients in the clinic. Most of them are genuinely, seeking medical attention of all walks of life, all genders, all ages. But once in a while, we do get some, funny patients. I guess the mildest of the extreme will be those who don't come and then they get our services and then our medications, and after that they just leave without paying.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, you
so
have those as well.
we have those, or those that come and ask to buy MCs off the counter or feign illness and that kind of thing. The ones that I would consider a little bit more on the the other end of the extreme
Safety hazards.
Safety hazards, yes. Yeah. Occupational hazards, you call them, would be some patients, and there's so far mainly guys who come and they seek attention, over their sexual health, and then you have to, examine them and then find that they're actually normal, and then it gets awkward.
Right.
Yeah. So those are one of the occupational hazards that we face.
You get some really genuine ones, and you get those who want to take advantage. But thankfully, hearing from you, you have more of the genuine ones and not so many of those. But even just one experience with a guy like that can just really throw you off, and can make you even feel a little bit fearful for your safety, because you, as you said, you're all ladies there in the clinic, at least for now. Hey, how about financially? Because clinics are not like restaurants, not like coffee shops where people can go to 5 coffee shops if they wanted to. They don't have to be loyal to one. You can eat char kway teow from 10 different char kway teow shops. But I'm thinking about clinic. I mean, if I went to a clinic, I'll stick to my doctor for life. And just because a new clinic opens down the street, even if it's nearer to me, I might not consider, because that's how clinics are, isn't it? So I'm guessing that when you start a new clinic, it's not just anybody and everybody that will come. You will probably have to have new patients. So sometimes it might take longer, isn't it, to break even. So tell us about that challenge.
When I first wanted to resign, at that time already, 5 years ago, there's already talk and news around the town that this industry is really struggling, the GP industry.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's out in the papers. I think, articles have been written over the years showing how the GP industry is being more and more challenged. It's getting more difficult to open and to sustain and to thrive as a GP clinic. So that's real. Simply because people don't switch doctors like they switch their makan places or their shopping places and all.
Yeah.
For our clinic, we have been building from day one. To the point when I came in and we're building, and now we're still building, and we're still going to build tomorrow and in the years to come. Honestly speaking, we have not broken even as a clinic yet, but we're close to that. But it has definitely grown. Every year we see a positive growth rather than stagnant or negative. So that is encouraging.
A growing number of patients, a growing number of regulars.
Yes.
So basically you're saying that you're concentrating not so much only on the finances, you're concentrating on giving good quality healthcare, giving your best to every patient that comes in. And really it's by word of mouth, isn't it? It goes round that they're getting the best. You haven't broken even, but that's not really your main focus, isn't it, as a doctor?
Yeah, definitely that's important to be, business-wise and sustainability and all future. But that's not our main bottom line. That's secondary priority. But the main priority is really to touch lives and to change lives in a positive manner. That's what we're out for. So our bottom line is not numbers of money, but it's numbers of lives. It's not quantity of money, it's quality of life. People who have come through our doors and experienced our care, and their lives have been touched or changed positively in one way or another, whether they have been paying patients or they have been recipients of our subsidization, like the refugees, single unwed moms and all that. So
before we get into the stories, could you just very quickly tell us your business model? Because of course making money is important. Why? Why is it important? Because you have a business model that's quite unique. It's not just free medication to everyone. It's not that kind of a clinic where it's all free, but there is what you call cross-subsidization, right? Explain to us a little bit more about that.
Basically, our business model is something quite unique in this region. It's what we call a cross-subsidization model. So we want to actually make as much profit as we can. So it's not that we don't want to make any profit or we don't want to break even. We definitely want to, the more the better, the more the merrier. We want to make as much profit as we can because that profit will go towards subsidizing healthcare for those who cannot afford them, like the refugees, for example. So the more we earn, the more we can help.
So profit with a purpose.
Yeah, profit with a purpose.
Let those who can afford to pay for those who cannot afford to pay. So from the profits you earn, for those who can afford, you actually take those profits instead of going into your pocket or into the pocket of those who are your directors or your team only. Everybody gets paid and gets blessed, and the bigger the business grows, the more the doctors can also earn. But that's really not the bottom line. The bottom line, or rather your model is let those who can pay and help those who cannot pay. So really more profits will help you do even more of your real purpose, which is to help give quality healthcare to those who can't afford it, right? So that's good. So it's a great model. It's a fantastic model. Okay, now let's draw to a close by giving us some of these stories that really gets you up in the morning going to work with excitement.
Wow, okay. One of them is actually a refugee family that was introduced to us by a social worker, and they were from Pakistan, and they had to basically flee their country because of being persecuted for their faith. There are differences in faith with the main ruling party or things like that. And they were persecuted to the point of gun point. So knives, guns were held at them. Even the mom, the kids had to learn to hold a gun to defend themselves. So months after coming here, their hands are still shaking from just even holding a gun. And so they had to flee in a rush. I think they fled by boat over here. And the mom is actually a diabetic. So she was on insulin, and because of the way they fled, so they didn't really get to pack everything, and they fled by boat. They were on the boat for months. Whatever that she brought, whatever insulin supply that she brought had actually turned bad during the trip.
No.
So when she came here, her diabetes was uncontrolled. And I think some of us know that it's difficult for a refugee to actually seek health care in this country. They could be caught while seeking health care because they are deemed as illegal, but actually the right word to call them is undocumented. So their security is at threat. Even if they get past the security barrier, they may not be able to communicate with the doctor. There's that language barrier, or there may be that discrimination by some as well. And then if they cross that barrier and they actually get their treatment, their medication, they may not be able to pay for it.
Right.
So there's so many barriers to them. Yeah. And just to even take time off work, to go, whether their bosses will let them go, that kind of thing. Again, a lot of them do a lot of odd jobs and all. So it's just a whole scenario. So that's why we say healthcare is quite inaccessible for them. That's why our tagline is to make healthcare accessible.
That's right.
Yeah, to clear those barriers, to open the door. Because everyone has a right to health. That's one of the basic needs, like food, water, and all. So she couldn't seek healthcare in the government centres or let alone the private centres. So her diabetes actually deteriorated and her health wasn't doing good. And but she had to be healthy and strong because while her husband goes out to find a living, she has to take care of the kids at home. But she's just not up to it, just very weak and getting weaker. And she could actually pass on if her health wasn't optimized.
Right.
So they got to know of this social worker that connected them with us, and so this family came and we saw them, we gave them the whole medical questioning, checkup and all, found out okay, she needs urgent and proper optimal care for her diabetes. And so I thank God at that time somehow there was a pharmaceutical rep that I knew that had extra stocks of really good insulin.
Wow.
Yeah, and then so he passed some to me, and so that could tide over for that period of time, because the insulin that she needed is really good quality and is really expensive. So, we may not have been able to afford all of it, but I thank God that someone came to lighten the load. And
so
also,
you also allow other partners to come in, to donate medication and maybe even finances sometimes. So you're open to that,
Yeah. So then, together with whatever we had and the supplies from the external provider, we could actually sponsor her treatment.
Wow.
And she would come back regularly over a series of months for consultation, follow-up, treatment and all. So over time, we built a friendship with the family. And she was actually getting much, much better, stronger, healthier, happier. We would actually go beyond just the medical consultation when we were with them. We would chat, talk about life and how everyone is doing and things like that. And so months down the road, we actually got informed by her that her family had to leave the country suddenly because they really couldn't earn a living here and their security was at threat. I think some of their relatives were already being put behind bars. So if they stayed on any longer, they could be put behind bars, being caught by the, immigration authorities and all that. So they had to flee our country and try going back to the country and facing the same music again, but hopefully, there's a better chance of survival. But before they left, they actually came to visit us and they actually said, thank you so much for just for accepting us as who we are and showing us care, because honestly, although we didn't really feel accepted and cared for by your country, but we felt it at least in one place, and that is in your clinic. So thank you for we will remember Malaysia for you guys. And so that has been something really impactful for me and for our team to know that we made a difference in their lives.
And you also became a positive representation of our country, Malaysia. So really one can make a huge difference. You spend a lot of time also with students, right?
Yes.
I mean, you used to be right in front of Taylor's College and also, the colleges nearby. So I'm guessing that students also would come to you with all kinds of needs. Some true medical needs, some actually maybe even emotional needs. So maybe you have some thoughts or memory about some of these students that you met?
In our previous location, we used to be right smack in the middle of the educational hub, Subang Jaya SS15. So at Taylor's College there, we're INTI and even some of the schools like Sri KL and different
it used to
ones.
be a metropolitan also.
Yeah, that's right. So a number of our patients, a huge proportion, are actually young people, and sometimes they would come in for what seems like a simple cough and cold, but then when we ask further into their lives, then they reveal that maybe they're under a lot of stress or anxiety or even depression or suicidal, and we get a chance to hear them out and even encourage them with hope. In their lives. We are not there to give them the way out or even suggest the way out, but we're there to be a listening ear.
And sometimes that's all they need.
And where we can, we try to share something that's positive that will encourage them with hope. And so we have a big number of that. We also have had people coming in with sexually related issues like sexually transmitted infections or even unwanted pregnancies. And then we get to actually hear them out again and counsel them about the root. And hopefully deter them from going through this again.
So it's like being there at their very crucial moments, right? Sometimes some of these things they don't even dare tell their parents. Or even not even their best friends sometimes. But being able to confide in the doctor. So actually, the doctor's position or your position or even the clinic's position is a very, very wonderful, powerful, I should say, position, because it's a position of not just encouragement and hope, but also a position of influence. So it's not just about medication we're talking about. Finally, at the bottom line, as you said earlier, it's about lives. It's about helping people in any way you can, not just through medication, but sometimes just being a listening ear. Dr. Ju, we only have so much time left, so I want to ask you one last question. You are young yourself. I know you are married with 3 kids, but in comparison to many people who maybe wait until they are retired, then they start doing charity work, etc. Is there any advice that you like to leave with aspiring either young doctors or even just young people in general?
For me, it boils down to 3 things, if I could summarize it in piece. Firstly, it starts with purpose. So we're all here on earth for a purpose, whether we know it or not. We are here to add value to this world. And how we do it is very specific to every individual, very unique as well. But just knowing that we're here to actually add value to this world, how can we do it now? Then we delve on it further. So that sense of purpose, I think is a good start. So we got to know that, okay, if I venture into this, how am I going to add value to the world through this? Because of that sense of purpose, then we have that passion. I think people want to feel significant. I think I come across somewhere before that there are a few emotional needs. The first level is security, so we want to feel secure. That's fine. It's important to all of us. Then the next level is self-worth. We want to feel that we're worth something lah. And then the final or the highest level of emotional needs are significance. So everyone wants to feel significant, like they made a difference in this world, a positive impact, added value. So when we realize that we're significant because we have a purpose, then I think it fires us up, gives us the energy. Physically and internally. So it gives us that passion to go on, and that's important. And thirdly is perseverance, because honestly it's a journey. Whatever that we choose to do to add value to this world, we can start off with a sense of purpose, we can start off with a sense of passion, but if we don't have perseverance, we're not going to finish the journey. So I think perseverance is so important, but that's something that a lot of us don't like to hear or do, to persevere on. It's easy to persevere when times are good, times are successful, times are easy. It's always difficult to persevere when times are difficult, but sometimes that's when we need to persevere on the most. Like the saying goes, dawn comes after the darkest moment of the night. So perseverance. And I think recently there's this whole theory that has swept the world in craze, the theory of grit. Which a group of US-based psychologists tried to research what is it that makes people successful in life. Is it, their family background, their head start, their intelligence, their EQ, whatever? And they found out that it boiled down to this factor called grit, G-R-I-T. And it's made up of two components, which is passion and perseverance. Yeah, so it's not enough to have passion, but we need perseverance. So people who stick in till the end are the ones who are likely to succeed, although they may not start out as the brightest, the richest, and so on and so forth. So for me, I really believe that anyone who wants to venture into medicine or any other aspect of life, even marriage and having kids, or just living, a sense of purpose, that passion, and to keep us going, and that perseverance to finish the race. So purpose starts us, passion keeps us going, perseverance finishes the race. So we want to really complete that whole journey.
So I guess we can also say it as what's right will always be right. No matter how long it takes. And Dr. Jill has really been good chatting with you. Thank you again for coming
Mr.
into
Kenneth.
my studio.
Thank you.
Please come back again, okay?
We'll do.
I realized that what drives me to enjoy my work is to see the happiness in people, the fulfillment of just delivering a good product, a good service, or just seeing people having their dreams come true.